Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We are looking at the songs of praise in the Old Testament, the Psalms, Psalm 72 today. Now, this is a psalm of David written for Solomon. It really could be written for any of the kings that followed David, but we know that none of them really lived out this psalm. So when we read this psalm, we understand that this psalm ultimately is a psalm about the future ideal king, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Now, when we look at verses 1 through 4, it talks about the character of this king and his kingdom. The king is endowed with God's justice, not earthly justice, but the justice of God, where God is the judge. You know, your royal son endowed with God's righteousness, not their own righteousness, and that he will judge your people with righteousness. So you think about this as how the Lord will judge your people with justice and righteousness. It's a phrase that those two are always linked together. But what does that mean for the ungodly? That they're judged in their unrighteousness by God who is righteous, God who is faithful. They are judged for their unfaithfulness. And he goes on to say that you're afflicted ones. Well, what are we afflicted with? Sin, right? And he's going to judge us with his justice, which comes through the cross. And we go on, may the mountains bring prosperity to your people, the hills, the fruits of righteousness. And that the fruit of living rightfully with God prospers his people. And he defends. God's character is to defend his afflicted and to save his children. And God saves us from sin, right? And saves his people from the oppression of this world. Verses 5 through 7, it talks about, may he endure as long as the sun, as long as the moon, through all generations. May he be like rain falling on a mown field. His days may righteousness flourish. And the whole purpose of this verses 5 through 7 is talk about the duration and that this is going to be forever. One day, all nations will bow to him. And then we go on, may he rule from sea to sea, from river to the ends of the earth. And that this is the expanse of God's kingdom, Christ's kingdom, is universal. That all places, all people will be under his reign. No one will escape his good and gentle rule, but the rule of righteousness and justice. Picking up at verse 12, for he will deliver the needy, the afflicted, who have no one to help. He will take pity on the weak. He will rescue them from the oppression and violence. And so what we see here is the nature of this kingdom is one of compassion. That Jesus Christ is the one who brings about the good and gentle kingdom. Sin makes this world harsh. It's the redemption that frees us. Verses 15 through 17, long may he live, may gold from Sheba, may grain abound, may the fruit from Lebanon thrive. And it's about that the blessing of God's kingdom is that as where there is God, there's God's graciousness, there's prosperity. And there are verses 18 through 19, the praise of the God of Israel. Well, thanks, my friends. Have a blessed day.